Annelise, it's 9:45 p.m. there, but senior Republicans are adamant that they will proceed with the confirmation of Joe Biden's win.
And that's a bipartisan push after those extraordinary scenes within the country's capital, I should say, that they wanted to make sure that this got done. And that's on the advice of the Secret Service after many of them were evacuated during that. Well, certainly it's hard to pick the terminology at this point, but the rioters who went into the Capitol and wreaked havoc there, we saw the violent scenes and the confirmation that at least one woman was killed within the Capitol building has really thrown this normally a really procedural process into chaos, and they are determined to finish that certification. The pressure really came on Mike Pence, the vice president from President Donald Trump, who wanted Mike Pence to refuse to take part in the certification. Now, he said it was his constitutional duty to do that. It wasn't up to him. It was up to states to say if they weren't going to certify it, and there weren't any states coming forward in that particular process. So Mike Pence, on the reopening of this particular process, has said that this is important to do to maintain American democracy.
To those who wreaked havoc in our Capitol today, you did not win. Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And this is still the people's house. And as we reconvene in this chamber, the world will again witness the resilience and strength of our democracy. For even in the wake of unprecedented violence and vandalism at this Capitol, the elected representatives of the people of the United States have assembled again on the very same day to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Let's get back to work.
Now, there's also been increasing pressure on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, soon to be Minority Leader after the Senate runoff races in Georgia. He spoke about what happened today and about the need to return to the normal process of an election and certify the results.
Now, we assembled this afternoon to count our citizens' votes and to formalize their choice of the next president. Now we're going to finish exactly what we started. We'll complete the process the right way, by the book. We'll follow our precedents, our laws, and our Constitution to the letter. And we will certify the winner of the 2020 presidential election. Criminal behavior will never dominate the United States Congress. This institution is resilient. Our democratic republic is strong. The American people deserve nothing less.
Now, there really has been a bipartisan showing of real shock and horror about what's gone on today. Chuck Schumer, Democrat leader in the Senate, has also come out and said that this will go down as one of the darkest days in U.S. democratic history as the curfew fell across the Capitol.
But make no mistake, my friends, today's events did not happen spontaneously. The president who promoted conspiracy theories that motivated these thugs, the president who exhorted them to come to our nation's capital, egged them on, he hardly ever discourages violence and more often encourages it. This president bears a great deal of the blame. This mob was in good part President Trump's doing, incited by his words, his lies. This violence, in good part, his responsibility, his everlasting shame. Today's events certainly would not have happened without him. Now, January 6th will go down as one of the darkest days in recent American history.
Now, much of the anger that's played out today from Donald Trump supporters has come off the back of the Georgia Senate runoff elections. Now, that's where we saw an actually quite low turnout of Republicans that saw the Democrats, it appears at least at this point, coming through with a victory. What we've seen is Kelly Loeffler, one of the Senate candidates who had to rerun her race, starting out the day saying that she wasn't going to support the certification of Georgia, and then in a pretty remarkable backflip after these scenes today, then changing her mind.
When I arrived in Washington this morning, I fully intended to object to the certification of the electoral votes. However, the events that have transpired today have forced me to reconsider, and I cannot now in good conscience object to the certification of these electors. The violence, the lawlessness, and siege of the halls of Congress are abhorrent and stand as a direct attack on the very institution my objection was intended to protect, the sanctity of the American democratic process.
Now, this process is likely to take a lot less time than it was at the beginning of the day. Now, it seems quite a few members of Congress and the Senate are backing off from their objections. There's also increasing reporting about fury and frustration among the Republicans. There's reporting from the New York Times that they are considering at a cabinet level potentially enacting the 25th Amendment, which could see Donald Trump removed in his last 2 weeks of office. That would be unprecedented and quite extraordinary move so close to inauguration, but shows just the fear of what's happened today recurring. There's going to be, we can expect, increased security around the inauguration, and questions are already being raised about why the security wasn't strong enough today, with these protesters already planning for weeks to meet in the Capitol ahead of this certification, and Donald Trump's increasing rhetoric around Vice President Mike Pence's role in this whole process, which is normally something that barely makes headlines, more ceremonial than anything. Normally we see bipartisanship. That's all part of the ceremony. We've had 2 vice presidents who run for president and then have to take part in their own certification of their loss. That's Richard Nixon in particular for the Republicans as their example. So this is certainly a day that's going to go down in US history for many years to come. People will be analysing exactly what went wrong today.
Certainly is. Annelise Nielsen live in Washington, D.C. Thank you for the update.